to a KYS Pro Baker. This one is the 10 Plus model. I originally was looking at the 7, but in the Black Friday sale, by the time I got to order it had gone. So I ended up with the 10. It's quite a beast, 39 kilos in weight. This one came on a pallet. Here are the controls, which you can see on the website. I will show when I'm on the stand a few more features. Here's the bowl. There's an LED light on it. The spiral mixer. And whilst I had a KitchenAid, which is okay for one loaf, it just was never going to be up to the job of doing sourdough. I looked at the Anchor Sum on the Bakery Bits website, but I just felt for the cost, it just looked naff. Whereas I wanted to go for a proper mixer, and to be honest, the price I paid for this was not that much different than the Anchor Sum, and I do think this will outlive me. It came with a European plug. I did change it for an English plug and managed to find, as old style dads do, a 5-amp fuse somewhere rather than run it with a 13 amp. I did have to cut the plug off an old light, but you could run it with a European plug and an adapter. It also comes with this tool for undoing the bowl, which I've just put some Velcro to attach it to the back, and I'll show you this in action shortly when the video is on the stand. LED light, opens, safety guard, and as I say, the controls very, very simple. You just basically wind it and on it goes, and then you can set timers by just pressing the button and switching it off. You've also got the safety stop, which kills it dead. So overall, first time in bulk dough, I've used it once. I'm very, very impressed with this. It is a beast to lift it, so I think if you're not 6'2" and 120 kilos, you'd have difficulty lifting this onto a wet top on your own. But if you can find a pride of place for it in the kitchen, all good. Excuse the noise in the background, the washing machine going, it is an active kitchen. Anyway, so I wanted to show this. This is actually on. Here's the bowl. This is the model that detaches, so you can raise it up by turning the levers on the side. I did this because I might have 2 different batches going, and at the moment I'm doing the autolyze for an hour with the starter and varying with that. I mentioned before you've got this protective guard, and what I did with the spare one is just put it around here rather than lose it and find it several years later. To undo the bowl, you simply hold it and then twist, but if like this, I've done it up tightly. This is where the tool comes into its own. And what you do is you twist this counter clockwise and the bowl stays still, and then the bowl comes out. It engages in these 4 holes, high grade stainless steel. I would recommend you put these in, hold it flat, and then you can actually twist it with your hand, finish it off with this, or to be honest, if you're strong enough, do you really need this? Again, just attach that on the back with the Velcro. And we're good to go. So what I'm going to do now is add the white flour, about 3.35 kilos. In this case, I'm using Canadian for sourdough from Matthews Cotswold Flour. I've been impressed with this. I've also been very, very impressed with Tesco's Finest, very strong. This is a Canadian wheat as well. Probably giving me the best here, although I'm a newbie. Sainsbury's was just as good, probably the same supplier. Dove's was okay. I've yet to try Allinson's. But what I'm going to add here is I'm going to add vast majority of the water. This is about 2.245 litres. Keep a little bit back. And add some of the flour without it going all over the kitchen. This is the first time I've done this, so please forgive the inexperience. I've also seen some people add the starter and then the water and then add the flour. My starter's not quite ready enough yet, so I'm quite happy to do an autolyze. Pre-mix this, then transfer it out, let it sit for an hour, bring it back to the mixer, hence the removable bowl. what I'll do now, bring this down on the other side. I'll literally remember that I switched off the stop, and now I'll just do it on speed 1 just to get it going so there's not flour everywhere, and turn this up. You can literally hear how quiet that is. The washing machine's making more noise in the background, probably my mouth breathing. Very gentle. Let this mix in, then add the rest of the flour, and then give it a few minutes till it's well mixed and there's no flour. I do have a scraper where I can scrape down from the sides. When I did 1200 grams of flour, I did need to do this because it was quite small, probably on the size of this. You might get away with that on the 5 model or the 7. But here you can see now it's beginning to mix it quite nicely. Very gentle. You can hear when it's mixing dry parts. This is currently on speed 4, telling me the temperature of the bowl is 20.8. Relatively cool. That can have a basis on the fermentation. It does come with an ice jacket, this machine. They had trouble shipping it, especially to the UK because of Brexit and regulations, because of the probably ethylene glycol in it, so they're sending it to follow on by boat. What I'm going to do now is lift this up, add some more flour. That's in. It's going to be a disaster, but let's see how it goes. No, this part works quite well. We'll leave this to mix, speed 4. Maybe 5. And we'll come back to this. It's been going now for about 30 seconds. I'm going to add the remaining water. Could keep this back for the salt, but the salt mixes in. I'm using Celtic salt, which I'll show you. I'm going to change that to the fine one because mine's just a little bit too gritty, but maybe that adds to the rustic flavour. The whole thing with sourdough, it's all about experimentation, following the science, not getting too carried away with some of the urban mythology that's out there. And once you've got a recipe, particularly this scale, that you're happy with, then stick to it. Do the experimental versions around it by hand. But I'm baking this for the local villages, and they will donate some money to various charities. In this case, it's the food bank in Goole. Whilst I can't provide the loaves because I'm not yet at the stage of producing suitable labels or approved, people can pay money towards this so that it brings a benefit to the community. What I'll probably do is leave this to go and then scrape it down in a short while. But you can see already after about a minute and 50 seconds it's already looking very nice. I do think with this mixer I could probably get away with slightly higher hydration. I'm currently at 73% with this recipe. Bear in mind I've not yet added the starter. I've not added the salt, that goes last. But I'll basically mix this and then leave it to sit in the bowl with a damp tea towel over it for up to an hour. Then transfer it back and add the starter. But I think in future it'll probably be water starter, add the flour, and then start the bulk fermentation and the autolyse from there. See how that gives. I'm going to stop this now and scrape down the central part. You can already see there's quite nice gluten formation. This is now on speed 5. There don't seem to be any dry bits. I think this is more efficient with the larger dough capacities. When I did the 1200 flour, though it can coat with 600, I think you have to help it a little bit more. But to be honest, I'd probably do those by hand. It's not a machine if you're just going to do yourself the occasional loaf now and again. The 5 might be more in that category. I'm aiming to bake 18 loaves tomorrow and make today, so this will be enough for 9 loaves, around about 700 grams. Some of them I'm going to split and add inclusions. But you can see already, even though this has hardly been given time, it's already mixing nicely. I'm going to stop this shortly and transfer it to the bowl and then do the next recipe, which will contain some Dove's flour rye wholemeal at about, I think it's 20%, 25%. Thank you. You don't end up with everything sticking to the things that you don't want it to. One thing I've seen on other video is not to add the salt through the bars here because it can corrode them. Here we have 77 grams, quite a lot. I may add a tiny bit more water, but this is already quite sticky. I'm going to work this for probably about 5 minutes, so you don't want to overwork it because you still do some stretch and folds and coil folds later, but what I did find on the small batch, it hardly needed any, and then suddenly it just felt right. Especially with this Canadian wheat flour. You can see it's already beginning to mix quite nicely in pumpkin, and when you add the salt it takes on a whole new different character. I think I'm going to add that now actually. So it's quite a lot of salt. What you will hear is you hear it get gritty. I'm probably going to move to a finer salt in due course, because I found by hand this did take a little bit of mixing in. And slow and gentle. I will speed it up a little bit in the end, probably to, it's on speed 4 now. Telling me the temperature of the dough is 22.6 because it has down the centre column temperature probe. So I've learnt most of this from YouTube videos, from YouTube channel Urban Treats. A couple of others, there's a guy Gluten Morgan. I think he's a Spanish guy. I learned quite a lot from that about the different flours, temperatures, open baking, baking with a Dutch oven, as well as different recipes and understanding what baker's percentage is with regards to water, proportion to the flour. It's coming together quite nicely. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. just on speed 6 now. Probably a little bit quick. I'll probably even drop this down to speed 5. And as it starts to look like a pumpkin, you know you're kind of already there, pretty close. And if I stop this now and stretched it, probably see it's already pretty stretchy, quite sticky, which at this stage is what you kind of expect. What I'm going to do now is set the timer. That's the side button. Set it for 5 minutes. Look, and then flick 5 minutes on you, I'll come back to it. As for cleaning, I just added some hot water to the empty bowl. Slip buying one of these pastry cloths. Seems like a lot of money for a cloth with holes in, but trust me, number of dishcloths I destroyed bound with pastry. This seems to clean and not hold on to it. I got it again from Bakery Bits. There were some on Amazon, but you always get suspicious when it's going to arrive in a month that it's come from a slow boat from China. Bakery Bits one came next day. Pretty happy with the quality. I'm just basically going to clean this down now whilst the dough rests for its first stretch and fold. Thank you.